It's very nice to be thought of as being pretty, as being, it's a plus. It's nice. It's not terribly important, but it is nice to have it in your favor.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for being here, and I really appreciate your time. I'm going to be jumping in on this conversation concerning cooking with Kaya. It seems like as she's going viral and more people are finding out about her, so is the backlash. Like, it's increasing more and more. So based off of the topic and the fact that this young lady is upsetting so many women particularly, and the men are loving her, I wanted to do a reaction style video to another content creator, Omizi, and I wanted to specifically react to his video because I think he has a really fair perspective for a man, because pretty much all I'm getting from women is them calling her pick-me's and putting her down in different ways, and then from the men, they're just big upping her, thirsting over her, that whole thing. So I wanted to react to his videos specifically because he is a man giving his perspective as a man from a more objective, realistic opinion. So let's take a look, and I'm going to pause and react. All right, let's start the video.
Mad about a young woman showing off her cooking skills.
Girl, I could steal your man with this dinner I just cooked for real. Welcome to another video with Cooking with Kaya. Cooking with Kaya.
If there's one thing that women hate, it's a pick-me. Or
first of all, I don't understand the whole obsession on the internet right now where you see women really like leaning into this whole side chick, I'ma steal your man. I don't understand that aesthetic. As somebody who has never had a problem getting a man, I don't understand why women play into this whole like, I'm gonna take your man, and I don't know, it's so weird to me because that it's not a win to get the attention of a cheating man. A cheating man is a cheating man. You don't have to be nothing special to get him. The fact that he's intending to cheat and go out and he's looking for somebody else to cheat on his partner with, that has nothing to do with you. That's about him. So it could have been you or any other woman. I think honestly a huge part of the backlash, maybe like 50-50 or maybe 60-40, is that she is doing that. She's saying things like, get up and cook your man some food, or I could take your man with this meal, because she's being inflammatory on purpose. And we know one of the quickest ways to go viral on the internet is to say things to be inflammatory, to kind of get this rage bait reaction, so people are sharing your video so they can give their commentary. But in the meantime, while they're sharing their video your video bashing you, they're still promoting you. They're still putting your video in front of their audience, which is putting it in front of more people that you may not have had access to on your own. So I think she's doing that on purpose so that she can piss enough women off to share her video and get other men to be like, well, who is this cooking with Kaya? Every time y'all share her video, you then put her in front of your audience, and she is gaining viewership from your rage. But let's continue.
Somebody that they've labeled as a pick-me for just simply doing actions that men like. Now, Kaya clearly knows what men love, and she's taking advantage of it. They say the easiest way to a man's heart is through his stomach.
In my opinion, and what I have gleaned from other women, and not the women who are just using it to be hyperbolic in the moment when they're talking to a woman who has an opinion that they don't like. But what I genuinely think a pick-me is a woman who is male identified to the point of causing issues for herself, to the point of self-destruction, to the point where she puts herself in positions that will cause her harm or cause harm to another woman just so she could get attention from a man. And typically it's not even a man who was actually hers. So it's not even her man. It's typically random men or the audience of men or the male gaze, right? So a woman who puts herself in a disadvantage just to gain cookies from the male gaze. That's what a pick-me is. And it's to the point where she's not doing it. It's not going to benefit her. She's not going to get picked. You will see these type of women. They never have men. They never have a husband. They never have a boyfriend. They're just perpetually doing these things, hoping that the praise that they get from random men online will eventually translate into an actual partner in real life, and it typically doesn't. I don't know if Cooking with Kaya has a man or not. I doubt she has a man with the way that she is online, damn near doing soft porn, or want his woman, cooking in stripper outfits. But that's what I wanted to say. I do understand that women typically use this word "pick me" in a hyperbolic way because it's typically just an opinion of another woman that they disagree with. There are such things as pick me's. There are really women who their whole, I guess, whatever their whole goal is to get male validation. I ultimately think it comes off so cringe, even to the men that they're trying to get attention from. It never produces anything. It never manifests anything for them. And so they're constantly chasing attention and trying to find ways to slight other women to literally to be like, pick me. And then they never get picked. So let's continue.
So Kaya's decided to put out cooking videos with her own creative twist. They say in Media Marketing 101,
I'll be home in 10 minutes. Now she's boiling pasta. Okay, before we go over in this video, I don't want to sound like a hater. I don't want to sound like any of that. But to anybody who actually cooks time to time, like actually cooks like full meals, 3 or 4 times a week, people who actually have like a developed palate, her food is basic, right? It's basic. I think it looks appetizing depending on what your palate is like and how much you're concerned about health. Because like he'll go on to say in this video later on, like a lot of her food, she's like using a lot of salt, a lot of different seasonings, a lot of butter. And for me, as a person who cooks 4 to 3 times a week, sometimes more, I would never cook like that for my family. Like for the people I love, I would never serve them such salty, fatty, unhealthy options. There's always substitutes. There's always a way to get that same flavor, to get the flavorness of it so that it has a very interesting, flavorful taste without just butter and salt and other types of seasoning. Like, I love black people, but a lot of times we don't really know how to cook with the essence or the aromatics of seasoning. We just want the seasoning packet. So we just want to crunch and taste and see seasoning. And we don't really appreciate what flavor you get when you cook things a better way, or when you add things a better way, when you steep something, when you use, garlic infusion. We don't really do that. We're more of I just want to see a bunch of Old Bay, a bunch of garlic salt, that's more so how we are. We prefer the seasoning MSG versions. So anybody who is really cooking, her food is not impressive to you. It's not. I mean, it's no way my husband telling me I'm going to be home in 10 minutes, I'm going to start making pasta. Especially if he's home in 10 minutes, I'm not going to take the pasta that comes in the box, like the freeze-dried pasta. I'm going to take the pasta that you have to put in the refrigerator because it's fresher. It's not the freeze-dried hard pasta. It's still soft. So you can actually effectively cook that in about 5 minutes, especially if you like it al dente. And you can do some type of butter sauce or some type of old school Parmesan sauce where you're basically making a fettuccine Alfredo sort of situation. But that alone lets me know that her cooking videos are appealing to people who don't cook or never seen nobody really cook. Because I'm not going to make hard freeze-dried pasta if my husband tell me he's 10 minutes away. Definitely not that one. But let's keep going.
You need a hook and a catchy thing that'll get you into people's algorithms and their eyeballs and their views, and she's got it. But this is anti what women want.
I'm sorry, but I do not like this little Cooking with Kaya hoe. I was on the phone with this dude the other day. He got to say, Cooking with Kaya, Cooking with Kaya. Don't be saying that on my motherfucking phone. But make it even worse, I can barely cook. I might be able to cook a little cornbread and a little cabbage, but all that, I can't cook like that. Then you got the girl dancing while she cooking. Like, girl, you was doing that for no reason. Like, it would have been cool if the girl didn't have a dump truck. My man is not allowed to watch Cooking with Kaya, period, point blank. I don't care.
I'm sure you've heard of the movement of
yeah, he'll go on to address the I don't know how to cook part in the video, but I just wanted to interject here and say I don't think you should be worried about your man watching Cooking with Kaya. I mean, you're obviously more than welcome to feel that way. I mean, truly, but it's like I said, a lot of times we live in a society where people don't know how to do things based off of certain traditional gender requirements. That's not something that we typically see anymore. Or whether or not we see it, we see a lot of pushback, particularly online. And while you have all these people constantly talking about how I don't want to fulfill traditional gender roles, I can do whatever I want to do. What's so interesting to me is that you have people who then do these things, like women who clean in skimpy outfits, women who cook in skimpy outfits. Even there's a phenomenon where there are men who get online and fix cars shirtless, or paint a wall shirtless, or put up some drywall shirtless, and they have all these views because although people out loud say they don't appreciate traditional gender roles, the reality is a lot of people do. That's the quiet part I can't say out loud. A lot of people actually do. A lot of people do want to be around or see that. And so when people go online and they see someone who is fixing a car shirtless, and he don't even gotta be the most attractive man ever. He could just be average looking. But because what he's doing is so strange nowadays, it's very attractive to people. People are drawn to that. And I think that's what's going on. Like, perfect example. When I got married, I didn't know how to cook. Like, I could do a couple of things, pancakes and stuff like that, but I didn't know how to cook on the level I know how to cook now. My husband actually had to teach me how to cook. He actually showed me certain things, and from there I took off because I wanted to learn. I myself knew that it was unacceptable for me to be married and not know how to cook. That's my personal opinion. If you've been married and you don't know how to cook and that works for you, excellent, awesome, woo. But for me personally, Kia, I wanted to know how to cook for my husband and kids. I think my experience is probably similar to a lot of women. Like, by the time I became like maybe 19, 18, my mom stopped cooking. And I know she knew how to make certain things, but she didn't really like press upon me to cook like that. So when I was single, I was doing a lot of takeout. That was normal for me. My husband said when he was dating me, he knew I didn't know how to cook because he had went in my refrigerator to get something to drink, and he saw a bunch of takeout boxes. So that's how he knew, oh my God, this girl know how to cook. And I'm grateful that he didn't dismiss me then, because he could have, but I learned how to cook, and now I think I cook as well as him. And when it comes to certain things, I think I cook better. So, but I do think a lot of times, because people lack these basic skills, women don't know how to cook, don't know how to clean. Men can't change tires, can't do drywall, can't work on cars, don't have a lot of, like handyman sort of knowledge. When we see other people display that, it becomes like it's entertaining. It feeds something that I think people don't always realize is what is feeding. Now, for me, because I know how to cook, when I see people online cooking, I know if they're really cooking or not. And I know, like, oh yeah, that they basically make baby shower food. Like, when I look at Cooking with Kaya's food, it looks like baby shower food. Like, food that is edible and nice and salty the way black people like. And, certain amount of people are going to be like, oh yeah, this is good, but it's going to make you sleepy. It's going to make you tired. It's going to probably make you have to go to the bathroom. Like, that's how her food looks to me. I think a lot of men are dating women that don't know how to cook. Or those same men don't know how to attract the women that know how to cook. And so overall, they're both ending up not having access to women who can cook. Right? And so her audience consists of men who don't have women coming home and making food for them, making meals for them, preparing things special. And we can have a conversation about whether or not certain men deserve what. And I completely agree. Not every man deserves a woman coming home slaving over a oven for him. I just have to be honest. Not every man is going to get that treatment because they don't deserve it. You have to be a certain type of man that yields that certain type of treatment from women that make women want to. Oh yeah, he on his way home. Ooh, let me hurry up. If you don't give that energy, I'm so sorry. You're never gonna run into a woman who wants to do that for you. I'm just being very honest, right? So I think her audience consists of a lot of those men. Like, they don't have girlfriends or wives or women they're dating that cook for them. And so it's a fantasy. But let me continue. Because I keep stopping the video.
Women decentering men in their day-to-day lives.
Today's lesson is how to decenter men and stop craving male validation. You need to find hobbies that don't have to do with men. If you don't have any hobbies, then the only real thing going on for you that's outside of the normal is your relationship. Next is make a to-do list every single day that doesn't have to do with men. Obviously, keep yourself so busy that you don't have time to think about them. This one works wonders. You don't have to act like, oh, I'm gonna ignore his text for 3 hours, because girl, you're gonna be doing things to level up yourself. Then slowly but surely, you'll start to get used to their presence not being there all the time. It'll become a normal thing for you not to call them and not to text them. You'll realize how much happier you are to not constantly being like, how can I cater to the male gaze?
Now, I don't think there's a problem with decentering men at all, to be honest with you. Actually, I think it can be positive. Being so wrapped up in the opposite gender, mostly due to sex or other means of companionship or romantic interaction, can be toxic and take you away from the main goals that you have in life. But I would probably argue this much emphasis on decentering men is centering men. Nonetheless, I don't think it's a bad idea to decenter the opposite sex in order to focus on your goals. But some people take it to the most extremes, and there can be negative impacts of decentering men that aren't discussed at all.
You know, like, I talk about my dating life and how it's going, and the most advice I get is decenter men, and I totally understand that, and that's what I was trying to learn. But a part of me has a small little thing, right? Love you having yourself, right? The things you do for yourself. It's not the same as having like platonic love for like a family member. There's times I can spoil myself, right? Like, it's coming from my bank account. Like, I'll feel fulfilled, but at the same time, like, what about at night when I want to be held or cuddled or even just told these things? Like, it's like a part of me knows I can love myself to the fullest extent, but it can never replace being held or being kissed or being like just told everything's gonna be okay by someone else. I think it's more so just not centering your life around a man's life. Like, have your own life. You can still want someone, but don't let your life revolve around theirs. Don't become too dependent.
So in a situation like the
I think that what a lot of women are running into is, like I said, they're being peer pressured to decenter men and to abandon men, especially after Donald Trump became elected. I think a lot of women are being told that they need to do this, and they're being pressured into doing it. And even before that, I was born and raised in the 90s, so I remember a lot of conversations similar. Like, it's just basically the same movement that it's been, but it's reinvented with different rhetoric, different phrases, different language. But it's literally the same burn your bras movement that we've had for the past 50, 60 years, right? First of all, if you are a heterosexual woman and you want to be with a man, it makes no sense to completely close yourself off from the desires and wants and things that attract other heterosexual men. It doesn't make any sense. You're actively working against your own interests and desires, okay? Now, there is a healthy way to know what will make you the most attractive to the type of men that you want to attract. There's a healthy way to do that without becoming obsessive and having unrealistic expectations to the point where you would need to decenter yourself from men. Like, you would need to go to the extreme. Because whether or not you realize it, like, completely decentering men is an extreme. Like, it's just like when men in the red pill community call themselves red pilling from women, and they don't want to deal with women, and they basically don't care about women's gaze. It's the same exact thing. The male gaze, female gaze. It's literally the same extreme on opposite ends of the spectrum. And if you're heterosexual and truly deep down inside your goal is to end up with someone to spend your life with, those are both non-productive methods to get there, so to speak. You have to know yourself well enough to know what is important to you. That's number one. Once you figure out what's important to you, you need to go about the developing the best plan of action to get you there. And there's, like I said, a way to be healthy with your pursuit of a partner or a mate and not become obsessive. Please, I want people to learn how to stay away from extremes. Extremes are not helpful to you in real life. Okay? If you want to decenter men, you will put yourself in a position where you won't have access to men. I just have to be honest, especially a certain type of men. And like the young lady said in the video in the car, when you don't have access to men, you don't have access to certain skills and certain experiences because they mostly come from men. Just like for the men in the red pill community, when you put yourself in this place where you're like, oh, I'm done with women, da, 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 you don't have access to women. And so you don't have, that's why so many of them are, touch deprived. They don't have anyone that's nurturing them, that's loving on them, that's stroking their ego. They don't have any of that. And that's why sometimes they be so like skittish and violent and rude and just tense and built up because they don't have access to women. Like, we need each other for certain things. Like, that's how it was meant to function. Whether or not it's always romantic, we need each other. The genders need each other to fulfill certain things the other one can't. That's how we were designed to function with each other symbiotically. And so when you put yourself in an extreme place where you don't want no access to men, you don't want men talking to you, you don't want men looking at you, you don't want men nothing, or you don't want women talking to you, you don't want to do nothing for women, you don't want to, your life is going to be imbalanced. Yes, boo. It's not, you're not going to have that balance that you need. You're not going to have, women, you're not going to have that protection, that male presence, that help to be able to do certain things. Like, when I have something wrong with my car, I just take a picture and send it to my husband. I don't even panic. Oh my God, what am I going to do? Let me call triple. No, like, I call my husband. He literally will leave work to come to me wherever I am. Wherever I'm in the city, wherever my car is, he will leave work and come to me. I don't have to worry about going to a mechanic and worrying about him taking advantage of me because he sees I'm a woman and saying, oh, you need this, oh, you need that, oh, this is broke, oh, this is about to fall off, oh, if you don't get this, the car gonna blow up. Like, I don't gotta play them games. My husband's gonna handle that. I don't even do certain things that will require me to interact with men because I know how a man is going to perceive me. So I'll send my husband to act as my liaison. And that's one of the privileges that comes from being with a man. And there's things that my husband gets and does and experiences because he's with me. There's certain things that he doesn't even touch around the house. There's certain things that he's never worried about. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's symbiotic. It's give and take. And if you put yourself in an extreme drought because you think that's going to protect you, sure, do that. Do that if that's what you require for a season. But if you keep yourself there, don't be surprised when you don't feel, or should I say, when you start feeling the lack and the imbalance. But let me finish this up because the video's getting long.
Over seasons the shrimp. I mean, look at the shrimp in question. Look at how much seasoning she puts on there. These are multiple different seasonings that have the same type of taste or flavor profile. It's actually insane. It's amazing to me though how a young girl with a hobby or desire to provide for the man that she wants in the future elicits such a strong and nasty behavior from a bunch of women on the internet that want her to also decenter men the way that they've attempted to decenter men. Maybe she just doesn't have a problem with centering men like you do. Maybe she likes cooking. I can agree that she is thirst trapping.
Yeah.
But again, with the extremes that we see on the internet,
I'm trying to be the first person to be with 1,000 guys in 24 hours. Now, this isn't an easy task, finding 1,000 people. So, women, if you can lend me...
Okay. So I'm not going to finish the whole video because my video is getting long. To end this video, my overall feelings on cooking with Kaya is I think she is thirst trapping on purpose. I think she's dressing like a stripper on purpose. I think she's fulfilling or playing into certain stereotypes. Like, she's kind of mixing the trad wife aesthetic with stripper, with booty model, with video vixen. Like, she's trying to fulfill that, and she has a certain relatability to her surroundings that are different from like other content creators that have like a very stylized look. She's downplaying all of that on purpose. Maybe because she cooks in a regular kitchen and she's making regular food that, you know, the average person would think is tasty. I think that's that is a part of her whole appeal and attraction. Like I said, the other 50% or the other 40% is she is using rage bait to get other women to get her viewership. She's using y'all being upset with her to go viral. So she's already done exactly what she wants to do. She's already fulfilled her whole purpose. And now she just has to maintain the audience that she has and keep making that basic ass food. Like she can keep making it. And like I said, I think Kai Cenat just had her on his streamings. So that's what I'm saying. Like she has found a niche and she's going to continue to stay in the pocket. And the more y'all get angry, the more y'all share her, the more men are going to go to her page and be like, who's going with Kaya? And see her in her stripper outfits and stay for a while. Okay? It's as simple as that, boo. But yes, those are my thoughts on this topic. That's all I have to say. Thank you so much for watching. Take care.